man has to make distinctions around here.
All right,
hit it, Mike.
Here we go. Welcome back to another episode of Comedy Pinata, live from New York City with my co-host Mike, Big Mike.
It's a good
and
name.
Of course, one of my favorites. Started the Cellar. I think you were ahead of me, right?
I don't remember. We've been going at it a long time down there. So,
and you always love reminding me that I banged your
he bangs my ex-girl. I have one goddamn relationship to hold on to. This fucking...
He says it all the time, like...
He walks in with his swanky ways and his superior bone structure, and he bangs my girl. The one special piece of my heart.
Well, you were pissed off because he's Chinese. That's about it.
Yeah, exactly. No, I think it was the fact that he was fucking a dog style. It's got nothing to do with half anything. Yeah, I could care what less ethnicity somebody is. He's banging my broads.
So, this is Dov Davidoff.
Old fox in the hen house.
My good pal from back in my day at the Cellar, and obviously we're still there. And I'm
a bit starstruck because we never met.
Starstruck's overrated.
No, it was on Crashing.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
Crashing. Yeah.
I remember watching that because I never met you, and I don't work the Cellar, so I don't, we don't cross paths. This actor is like, this guy should do
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But I was like, so good at acting, which I think is a tough thing for comics to like tend to be a comedian.
Right.
Like it's a weird mix.
Yeah, it can be. Yeah.
I was like, and then I was like,
God.
I was like, oh no, this guy, I know this.
Yeah.
But to me, I was like, and I won.
Yeah.
All right, I'll go fuck myself. How about that?
Oh, no, I appreciate that, man.
Was Invincible probably your biggest commercial?
Yeah, biggest. I mean, that's like, a real studio picture kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I spent the last,
you were
right
always
before
acting.
COVID.
You were on a TV show for a long time?
I basically made a living doing it. I mean, before COVID, I was doing that show with Jennifer Lopez for 2 years where I played a detective. I was hunting her and Ray Liotta around. But I don't know. It's fine. It was fine.
Yeah.
I don't. But
you're one
I'm
of
in
the
love with it.
You're one of the few I know that to Mike's point, is that you're as successful as an actor as
I book dramatic roles. That's just uncommon for a comedian to do, but it's only because I could shut up and listen and not try to make a joke out of it. All comedians would be interesting actors because they have interesting personalities. I have, nice smile. The guy's really, if he could just, become more extroverted. No, it's, I don't know. It's just about listening. I think it's all about listening.
You, I think, are a better listener than most people. You've always been very interested in philosophy, time and space.
Yeah.
What is the meaning? What is the purpose of...
Trying to create peak utility and generate some happiness over the course of a very, very short lifetime.
What is peak utility?
Peak utility is like going, here, I'm going to, if you have a water bottle, you already have a bunch of water in the room, and I want to sell you another one, it's not going to matter. The utility is marginal. Peak utility is like you're finding things that really work for your happiness. I don't care about private plane travel overall, right?
Right.
It's who I'm with. So if I flew on one private plane with Callen. I had a great time because I was with Callen. If I were at a diner with Callen, I would have had a great time because I was with Callen.
Right.
And so if you get lost, if you give me a private plane, that's great. But if you get lost in that journey and pursuing something because you think it's going to fill you up, there isn't much utility. So the first several $1 million in a place like New York City is very meaningful because it can create margin and peace of mind. After that, the utility of money falls off a cliff.
Right.
And people get confused. And so, anyway, try to create a life with peace of mind.
That's a hard sell.
When you don't have that first little piece of success.
No. You're absolutely right.
I think people can get confused.
1,000%.
Getting to that point where it's like, now I don't have to worry about the things that I worry about every day because I have this.
But
what people with money will often do is generate more things to worry about. This isn't my opinion. It's sort of statistics. 50% of lottery winners end up declaring bankruptcy at some point. 80% of the NFL has major financial problems after they stop playing. It's because of lifestyle control, and people are confused about what actually creates happiness. If you buy a car with chrome rims and a Rolls Royce plate and you hang out in front of nightclubs, who the fuck, what kind of whore do you think that you're going to attract? And then you're going to think, these broads, all they want to do is hang out in my car. And it becomes it's a negative feedback loop. Whereas if you just dial in lifestyle and cool the jets, you don't have to prove a bunch of shit, you can generate some peace of mind.
This is what I've always appreciated about you, though. Is
I'm
that
a swinger. You understand that, Mike.
But you've got a great perspective, I think, on if not the meaning of life, the purpose of moments of our lives.
Yeah.
Who is somebody in the comedy world where in passing or in friendship you've been like, that person's got a good head on their shoulders. That person's kind of got a good, healthy mindset especially in such a depraved world of comedy?
It's a good question. I think the variables that drive people into comedy are often not the ones that help generate peace of mind. And for me, I had to do some real work on myself. But I can't think of too many comedians where you're like, oh, they have it dialed in.
Right.
I mean, you heard about like Gary Shandling, who was sort of Buddhist-y, and he was able to... And we always have to remember that if something goes well, however you define success, it's always a perfect storm. No matter how hard you work, there are people that work hard that fall, and people that work hard and rise, and then there are variations of that. But you are not responsible solely for success or failure. And so we have to remember not to get too high on ourselves and not to become diminished by a hierarchy that's largely external. Like it's like, I don't care if that person is doing well, and if they're doing poorly, I hope I can generate some empathy. It's like, I got a 10-inch cock, Mike, and don't make eye contact with me. No.
By the way, if you saw it, you wouldn't make eye contact with Dov, because I have, and he's telling the truth.
It's a decent piece. It's not 10. It's not 10.
It's 12.
A lot of reading and thinking and dealing with my own darkness and thinking about, how deeply I want to dive into, like, social media platforms generally made me kind of unhappy. I didn't know how to interface with them in ways that felt good to me. And so it was a tool that I wasn't talented at using. But I've also been in business, the real estate investment business, for a long time, since I was in my early 20s. And I had an opportunity to sort of generate enough passive income to not have to worry, as long as I control lifestyle, which everybody needs to do. Johnny Depp couldn't do it, by the way.
Right.
But it's like everybody has to at any level. It's about your mind. You don't need tons of shit.
You don't need your own castle and vineyard in France?
Exactly. Yeah, no. And that's a non-productive asset. It's okay to go out and invest money in something that's supporting itself. But if you're out of pocket to own it, it's not an investment.
The upkeep alone, you got to...
Invest as a user. That's what Johnny Depp was doing. He was I want a vineyard, so I should drink the wine, not just treat it as an investment.
Yeah. It's much better to buy the wine and rent a hotel room near a vineyard. It's much less expensive.
They give tours, right?
You can get a tour. It's $80. You can get a private tour for $120.
What is your what accomplishment makes you happiest in your career, and then what accomplishment makes you happiest in your personal life?
It's an excellent question, but all the answers, you read Man's Search for Meaning. If you look at every decision you're making from the perspective of an 80-year-old on your deathbed, and you look back, you think, would I have done that? If it was make another $100,000, if you've already had enough money, it wouldn't be that. It would be spend another day with my kid, go to another Little League game, whatever it is that you do, generate more happiness in relationships. It always goes back to decent relationships, and then... I forget what the highest utility uses of time and energy. We're always about human connection.
Relationships.
It's like we all have financial responsibility. So I'm not talking about what you have to do. I'm talking about what your choice is.
Right.
And if you're choosing to go generate another 10,000 followers over spend more time with your child, you're going to look back at your life and you're going to feel like a bit of a failure in a meaningful way. You know what I mean? If I'm 50 Cent and I made a lot of dough, my child doesn't talk to me, I don't know what his life is like. I don't know how he goes to sleep and how he feels about himself. That is not how I look at success,
Right, yeah.
My kid comes first, and so,
How much money, though, for you to never have to talk to your kid? We're just round numbers.
No.
Perfect pause.
Yeah, no. I made the pause for comedic effect, but there's no amount. There's no amount of money. You know what I mean? It truly isn't.
Yeah, I've always been, Kreischer and I, when I was on this podcast, we were talking about how much we respect you and how influential you have become to a lot of the comics that came up around the same time we did, because you were lacing these things into your stand-up as almost like as setups, but then you would talk about something completely different. But I was always like, oh, he's going to get to it at some point.
Yeah.
And that's the way I thought in the back of my head. I'm like,
I thought so too, and it's been 20 years. I still haven't really gotten to it. No, No, it's all. Listen, we're all trying to figure out. What's stand up? Like you're trying to reconcile our experiences and the way we see the world, and I don't know. I mean, there's who knows? We're all trying to create some peace of mind, right? In the end.
Well, before we were on the air, this is the last thing we'll talk about before we get into it, because I was fascinated because of your mindset and how your perspective of things. But all of us, when we started, you could just be a comic, and now you got to be on this.
That's right.
And you're your own manager, your own publicist. You
become a vertically integrated machine. So you need social media platforms, then you need content production, then you need actual stand-up, and then you're supposed to book it, and then you're supposed to audition in theory. And so when we got into it, it was about trying to get good at stand-up, and if you did that, you thought you could generate some attention by way of Comedy Central, The Tonight Show, or something else. Sure. And then you would go out and audition once in a while. But nobody told me signing up that I, needed a degree in vertically integrated marketing, or an MBA. It's like, had somebody told me that, I would have just gone into the real estate business and made real money.
And never had the kid to begin with.
Yeah. What do I need with a kid? I could be banging hooers 2 at a time. The great Ludwig Wittgenstein. He was a 19th century philosopher, but important thinker, maybe his 20th. Anyway, from Vienna, he said a great and serious philosophical work could consist solely of jokes, only because it's all so paradoxical, and such is life. I'm saying the same thing you said, but from the perspective of a Viennese philosopher. Go ahead.
Well, this is the last question I want to ask you. What is your relationship with social media?
I don't have one at this point.
Yeah.
For a while I hired a guy to help me with that, and then the nature of podcasting is there's a lot of competition. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm saying depending on how committed you are to it, to the delivering the content, producing other things that are related to that, and vertically integrating everything. And so I had a choice to make a few years ago. Now I'm on the other side of that. I've just gone through real estate development, which it was a pretty intense process in Brooklyn.
But you've always been involved in real estate.
I've been involved as an investor. I was not involved in a more sophisticated capital model.
You're overseeing everything.
There's the overseeing the initial acquisition, but then there's underwriting it and learning the language. It's a new language to do that. And so to build 26 units, residential over commercial in a place like Brooklyn, with the eye that 4 or 5 years from that point it would help generate real margin in your life.
Sure.
Was pretty weighty shit, and I wanted to learn to speak that language, and I ended up doing that. And, and now we're doing well, but during the middle of COVID, it was no joke.
Sure, of course.
Anyway, and so now I'm learning again, relative to social media. I'm an old man, so it's like I'm trying to make contact with how to interface with social media, because I still like going out and headlining, and I would like to generate some special that feels more meaningful to me.
Process of water distribution and sprinklers in a 26 unit. Come with me, and then we're going to go to the cellar tonight. Is that what you're doing? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, to a degree, only because I felt it'd be a price worth paying, and it has its own jokes. It has its own rewarding. When you solve for something.
How long is the beginning of that process to the end?
9 months for permitting. Before that, you need 6 months to find, and 3 months to finance. You need 6 to 4 to 18, and then you need another 2.5 to build. You're talking 4 to 5, soup to nuts.
4 to 5 years.
4 to 5 years, $4 million acquisition, $7 million construction loan, build to $17 million value with $6 million margin, and you're trying to add value, and then you hope that some once in 100-year exogenous event doesn't come along and tell you that you can no longer build in the middle of a $60,000 per month construction payment. You hope that doesn't happen, and yet it happened. But we made it through, baby. We made it through. Now we're 100% leased up and financed out.
And you're set. It's set. Basically,
the business now runs itself. It has 5% to a manager. The manager takes care of 100% of everything. You keep an eye on it, and then you try to say goodbye to that money, and it becomes a productive asset that throws off income, and that helps create peace of mind, because I don't have to generate content on a daily basis to deliver that performance. And so I'm trying to create a life where with these you put equity in productive assets, and then while you're sleeping, things can accrue, so you're not over a barrel. To tell I got to go to St. Louis, get the guy, and the radio guy, and the thing.
Sure.
Talk to Callen. Maybe
But the last time we're talking, I remember you were at the beginning stages of this.
Yeah, fucking stressful.
And now you're where you're at. Yeah. And what I would tell you is that from our perspective, in terms of like being creatives, you could have done the same thing. Yeah. You could have raised $4 million for an independent film and pray to God it gets
probability is 1 in 100.
And then you got to be profitable and all that other shit. And I've been on the other side, on the film side, and so you're sitting there like 4 years of investment, losing money making a film.
Yeah, that's the nature.
And then you got 4
it.
years investing in something outside of comedy. It's fucking unbelievable.
Right,
and you're.
It's weird, it's just it's a different part of the brain, and it's a process I'm glad I went through, but I'm an artist first. I'm not a businessman first, and I don't care about acquiring things.
Sure.
I want a decent lifestyle. I want my kid to grow up safe and be educated. And the difference between having a ton of money and enough to live comfortably, it's very, very clear where the utility is. You know what I mean? Right. Utility means you're not over a barrel every month. You have enough thing. You can get away once in a while. You're not you're not utterly stressed out associated with money. After that, the utility is marginal. It is statistically, a billionaire is no happier than somebody who has an upper middle class access to shit, in a safe environment with a house. My kid doesn't give a fuck if his bedroom is 9,000 square feet or 200 square feet.
Of course, yeah. We all hear that from kids when kids that grew up poor that are successful now, they always say the same thing. We didn't know any better.
Yeah, and that bullshit word success is thrown around way too generally. It's like if somebody's done well and sold a lot of tickets, but they're not cool with their family and they're not talking to their kid, and that ain't my version of success. I think success is.
They can pretend they won.
But in L.A., they molest that word more than other places.
Oh, yeah.
It's so molested.
And so much more.
And young boys. And they are so sweet. Did I say that out loud?
Yeah, they're making all these movies about the Catholic Church. It's like, you guys could just do one about the industry. All right, here we go.
Catholic Church. All right.
Oh, all right. We're going to start off with a bang then. We're just going to start off. Bryan Callen. Any initial thoughts on Bryan Callen?
Initial thoughts. You're dealing with one of the great psychopaths of our time. No, Bryan Callen's a great man. Bryan Callen's influenced my life as much as anybody ever, and he's been a wonderful, generous, thoughtful guy in my life. And so, I don't know. That's my thought about it. And he's a hilariously funny human being.
I think Bryan Callen could be one of the most naturally funny human beings. And I tell the story all the time. I was at the Comedy Store one night. There was 10 of us, ringers. It was one of those nights everybody was there. Ringers, like Rogan's there, Santino, everybody, Segura. We're all standing in a circle. Callen pulls up, walks in the middle, literally just walks in the middle and starts dressing everybody up.
He's the funniest guy. Yes, he's
why you're good looking, why you're gifted.
That's right.
All this, it just got, and then he fucking just walked off to go do a set.
Yes,
and we're all dying laughing, but then we're all just like, what the fuck just happened? Like, we're all professional comics, and he just came in and fucking rocked us all down.
He's the best I've ever seen. I've seen him do it with women too. He treated you guys like a pack of broads. No, I have seen him talk to a stripper. I asked her where in Eastern Europe she was from, then say, I knew that because of the bones in your hand. And then after complimenting her, he walked away and whispered in my ear, she eats too much meat. It's an uncanny operation he's running.
He is unbelievable. And
great actor, too.
Oh, yeah.
Phenomenal actor, He could literally, you could talk, international banking could come up right now.
Yeah, sure.
And he could talk about the banking system and why Taiwan's global economy.
He grew up in the Philippines. He grew up all over the world. People forget he has more in common with a globetrotting aristocrat than the average person. He just pretends he's normal.
He pretends he's normal. Yeah.
But he's not.
Go to dinner with him.
No.
Watch him order wine.
Yeah.
You're just like, oh my God, what a snob.
And speaks fluent French.
Yes.
He can order it in fluent French because he speaks it. Yeah.
All right, let's watch a little.
He'll
Bryan
also
Callen.
bang your girl. And you know something else? A couple of guys have banged my girls. One of them sitting next to me, his name is Steve Byrne. Fucked her silly.
Christ, man.
But Brian, one time I was on a date. And Big Mike, you should know this. I was on a date. Some chick, modelly looking broad in L.A. I walk up to the Comedy Store. I go to the bathroom. I come back. Callen's sitting there talking to her. He leans over. He goes, you know, she wants to bang both of us. And I said, what are you talking about? I just dropped a couple of bucks on dinner. I killed the goddamn evening. I made the connection. This guy's inviting himself into my theme park. Long story short, comes back to my loft downtown L.A. He weasels himself in. I somehow felt bad saying no. I'd prefer you don't bang my date. That's how much charisma he has. He made me feel like a jerk off for wanting to bang her on my own. So we get back to my place. This girl starts blowing him in the living room. He waves me in. It's my fucking house.
Your date.
My house. My date. I paid for dinner. So he now puts her on the couch, just arranges her. And then he goes like this. He goes like, I hear him go, I'm in the kitchen making him drinks. This fucking whack job. I literally can't believe my ears. I hear him go, you're a real woman. And then there's a pause. He goes, I fucking love you. To my date. Then I come over with my drinks like a fucking cuckold.
How many drinks? 2, 3?
2 drinks. One for me, one for her. Because he wasn't interested in having a drink. That's what a psycho he is. He can do this shit sober. I mean, I could. Anyway, long story short, I go over to the couch. I start trying to get involved. I'm all awkward. And I take my piece and I kind of pull it over the side of the couch with the one-leg grasshopper style. Brian's fucking her so hard that while she takes my piece in her mouth, it slipped out because he's bucking in. It slipped out and bounced off his fucking cheekbone. like a skier on a hill hitting a tree. Anyway, that's the end of the story. But that absolutely happened precisely like that.
Oh, my God. Well,
precisely
I
like
think
that.
if you were friends with Callen when he was single, everybody's got a story like that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no,
Mine,
that's the thing.
No. Okay, well, let's watch this here. Here we go.
Yeah.
All men are created equal is not something you can prove mathematically or biologically. It's not. But somehow in our hearts we know that that's the right way to be, man. Because if you look at the real world, like if LeBron James was sitting next to me right now, there is nothing equal about us, man. There's nothing. That guy looks like my avatar, all right? I got a bigger dick, but he's way taller. I know. And I had the most incredible experience recently about why you should always treat people like individuals and never think you're better than somebody because you don't know what that person contributes. And I was on my plane, man, and I was about to take my seat, and I noticed that this young lady I was about to sit next to was a little bigger than most. Now that's relevant to my story because I happen to basically know everything about nutrition, okay? I'm basically a scientist. I'm right, you're wrong. If I tell you to eat it, okay? I know everything. I've read over 4 books, number 1, okay? I lecture my own doctor on insulin. I had my doctor in a corner the other day. I was like, and another thing you don't understand about sugar and simple carbs, doc. And he was like, I'm with a patient or some bullshit. And the point is, I know about nutrition, and here was this woman a little bigger than most, and I thought to myself, you know what? This is your lucky day, because I got nutritional secrets in my brain that are gonna set you free. Hashtag athletic Santa Claus, I give. I take my seat, I pull out my reading material, probably the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, The Economist, maybe a novel. I read widely. I feed my body and my brain. Notice how I'm not moving the seat back. I don't have to. I got strong lumbar support. I'm basically a samurai, okay? I don't even touch the seat. Sometimes I just work my fucking legs. Look at that shit. Anyway, we're in the air, and I'm about to turn and get this revolution started when I notice that this young lady I'm sitting next to is licking her thumb and thumbing through a stack of tabloid magazines about that thick, all about Hollywood, all about who's fat, who's skinny, who's best dressed, who's worst dressed, who's getting divorced, all this bullshit. So I'm like, wow, you read tabloid magazines? I guess you're part of the problem. And I do what you're supposed to. I dismissed her as a human being. I was like, you read tabloid magazines, I don't have to ignore the shit out of you for the rest of the flight. Enjoy yourself. I'm gonna read about the Chinese economy, etc. # part of the solution. Feeling very good about myself, by the way. Now, as we're in the air, flight attendant gets on and goes, ladies and gentlemen, sorry the flight was delayed, but to make it up to you, we are handing out free cookies. Yeah, and the whole plane, I can just hear the energy, the air change. Like, cookies! Woo! People are clapping, they're all a titter, they're all excited. Not the fucking samurai. I can't wait to say no. Sure enough, she rolls your old cookie cart up all bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, looking down at me like she's got all the power. She's like, cookies? I'm like, you know what? Nah, you can keep your brown discs of death to yourself. I don't eat sugar or simple carbs, but I know somebody who definitely does. Sure enough, young lady next to me goes, if he's not gonna eat his cookies, I'll take his share as well. I'm like, I fucking knew it. Then she decides to wash it down with some cranberry juice. Sorry, that's at least 155 grams of sugar right there. I can hear her pancreas panicking, okay? I can literally, I can't produce any more insulin. Please, somebody help me. My pancreas, sound asleep. All right, and she's eating those cookies and drinking that cranberries. I'm watching all that sugar going to her body, and she's licking and thumbing through them tabloid magazines, and I'm thinking to myself, in 20 minutes, you're gonna have your sugar crash. 20 minutes on the dot. On the dot, she's out like a light. I'm like, why don't they make a movie about me, man? So happy with myself. Now here's where
we got the bit, but my God, I mean, it's
tremendous.
That's conversation with him too.
Yeah,
and
absolutely is. Yes.
There's only he makes videos. Obviously, he'll make you a video. I saved a video on my phone. I don't want to show it to anybody because it's personal, but I save it. I watch it once a month. Yeah. It's the funniest message I've ever gotten in my life. Yeah. It's so fucking funny. And it's all about him.
It's so true. It's so true. No, that's why I said, it's like, I'm not joking when I felt bad saying no, to, like, when he wanted to bang my date. I thought, I don't want to be selfish. I thought I don't want to be selfish. But it's the only person that can make me feel like that. Anybody else? Like, no, of course you're not banging my date. With Bryan, like, well, you've done a lot for me. You left me a message all about you, and it provides me laughter. So sure, you can bang my date.
But also one of those guys that if there's ever a jam, if he heard something through the grapevine that you were in a trouble or GIF or whatever, he's the first to call, the first to help out. Yep. What do you need from me? Yep. Just that kind of guy.
Yeah, he is. Yes, no doubt.
And he's also somebody, I remember his earlier material, it was so silly. It was really silly. It was just dumb shit. It was, you know, pigeons and all this stuff.
Yeah, he would do the ostrich impression. I mean, it was hilarious, but it was absurd. Great. And then he tries. As he evolved, there was more, philosophy, and the fact he's working in stuff about insulin, and in the end of that joke, she becomes the woman he's looking down on becomes the doctor who saves somebody in the aisle.
Right.
And so it's a real story. Like, it's a real evolved piece of humor.
Yeah. It's also a great look on the character that he is.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Because he's so good at being that douchebag.
Yeah.
In character that you forget that he's, like, observing the douchebag.
That's right.
To what we were talking, like, I was so happy to see him bring, because off stage you'd have these incredibly intricate, deep conversations, and I was like, boy, if he could just.
I know what you mean.
Last special, he did it.
I had the same feelings,
Holy
throughout
shit.
years of our relationship. I thought if you could do that thing and still bring it in, that's right, thread it into your humor, Bryan takes that physicality to a place that's like that's his voice, you know.
Yeah.
And then when he's able to thread that in, that's what makes it. Like when stand-up is good, it's really being done in that person's voice, and it won't be so easy to manufacture that, even if you remember the joke.
Right.
For somebody else to do that joke will be hard to do.
Sure.
Can you imagine somebody else doing that joke?
No.
Yeah, exactly.
No. Like if you transcribe Sebastian, you're like, how is this even funny?
Totally.
Like, what is this?
Yeah, totally.
And then you see it, you're like, oh my God.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think Joe and Callen, they started together, and you could hear them in each other's material early on. And I think the more intricate stuff, I'm seeing Bryan finally connect.
Oh yeah, no doubt
with it all. So,
no doubt.
All right, that was Callen. Love him. Number 2, who do we got here? We got Nathan Macintosh.
I like Nate. Yeah, from the
Nate's
cellar.
the best. Yeah.
Oh
You don't see him
funny
at all?
dude.
No,
he's from Canada.
Yeah, Toronto.
Yeah.
I don't believe I
He's
might have
funny
seen
dude.
him. So let's see.
There are a few new people at the cellar that are funny. Not all of them.
Yeah, I've been privy to some of that. I'm like, what's going on here?
No, Nate's great.
Yeah, he's funny.
This is a great bit. It's one of my favorite bits.
First class is also kind of the safest part of the plane to be in now, right? With all the plane fights, right? Every week somebody's fighting on a plane, and none of those fights happen in first class. People in first class are like, should I knock somebody out or finish my soup? And they finish their soup. People in the back, though, kick their Crocs off and start rocking people in the eyes. There are so many plane fights. They should start boarding planes by weight class. Forget Delta Comfort Plus. We are now boarding light middleweights.
It's great.
Everybody line up and start stretching. You know what time it is. You might have to correct a bitch in there. You might have to sit somebody down that asked you to sit down. There are more plane fights right now than UFC pay-per-views. And honestly, they should start marketing plane fights to us, you know? Because they're more interested in UFC. UFC's so boring. It's like, oh, look, we got 2 trained people fighting in a cage. Plane fights, we got 2 untrained people fighting in a tube. Over here, we got 2 in-shape people. Over here, we got a bloated dad versus a woman on her 4th plane today. Who's gonna win? I really feel for flight attendants. That job is bad enough, and now they might have to fight people. Trying to become a flight attendant must be insane. Even going to the interview, like, hey, I got a lot of years of customer service, I'm good with people. They're gonna be like, who cares? Do you know jujitsu? Because somebody in 13B is gonna try to knock your head off today. I do love a plane fight video. We've all seen a plane fight video, right? They're great. I love plane fight videos. People that fight on planes, for some reason, they can't understand why they're getting in trouble. They never understand. They really thought they were gonna punch somebody and sit down. They thought it was over. They were like, I settled that and now I'm done.
That's the bit.
They can't get it. Every one of those videos, they punch somebody,
like
air
the weight
marshals
class, I
show
haven't
up, and they're
heard that
standing
before.
there like air marshals.
Yeah, most airplane stuff you feel like you've heard shades of it. That was a
For
funny
what?
take on it.
Great bit. You know, it's so
Well, because
funny
I uppercut
as a
somebody
comic,
that
I'm
works
watching it going,
here.
It took me a second. I'm like, oh, that's Gotham. They put a purple
Because
grape
I
behind.
beat up an
Oh,
employee.
that's interesting. I didn't know that.
Show me on
And
my
I'm
ticket
listening
where
to
it
the
says
audio,
I
and I'm
can't
like,
do that.
yeah, there it is.
You're
'Cause
right.
it
It's
goes-
tinny. The
It
room's
says I
tinny.
can't bring a bomb,
tinny.
I can't
Yes.
bring a
Yes.
gun, I
Yes.
can't
Fucking
beat
A. I
up
can
a
hear
mother.
Gotham in that room too. You're right.
Because it's so, you know.
Always. It's a rectangle,
We have
and there's
almost
something about
lost
the
planes
din, the
anyway
tinny
to
kind of,
crazy people. People are just
almost
doing
an
whatever they want
echo.
up there.
There's
It's
something
public
thin
transit
and
at this
metal
point.
about
The
it.
whole,
Yeah.
I think all the sound kind of loop goes down that hallway and
Something,
starts
yeah.
to
to draw it all out.
Yeah, it's not
And
like
started
rich
singing
and resonant like
Jesus.
in a room with, I
You
don't
saw
know, wood
this.
with
A
lower
man.
ceilings.
That's why the
A man
cellar's
stopped
high
in the middle of a play
ceilings.
with a guitar and
High.
Well, yeah,
singing
or
to the
Denver,
Lord.
or the club in Comedy
That
Works in Denver.
is
These
the
clubs
F-train.
that are contained really have this rich kind of sound.
Yeah,
I can
Comedy
tell
on
the
State.
difference. Yeah.
We have
Compact,
lost the
but like
planes.
that's why I always like the cellar.
I'm
Like in terms
surprised
of the
there's
New
not
York
people
clubs,
from
like
Coach walking into
the
first class
proximity to
asking for
you and the
change.
crowd. I mean, you are
Very
right
intimate,
there.
yeah.
But when those laughs hit, in the cellar, and
Just
you're having
moving
like
the
one of
curtain
those
aside,
nights.
like,
It's
I don't
like,
mean to
there's
bother
no better.
anybody, but-
There's your happiness. I mean, that connection with people.
Does anybody have a
it's
dollar?
Like, that's
Yeah, the
fucking
rest of it's work.
These headphones are pretty
The rest of the
expensive.
business is work, but that's why why you do it. Yeah,
the other 23 hours of the day.
exactly.
I don't know what happened.
but he's great, so he's out of Canada?
Yeah, he's here now.
The highest
Yeah.
level of
Toronto,
punishment
yeah.
is the no-fly list, right?
Great
Yeah,
guy.
he's a good dude.
I've never had
like
an
him.
issue with a Canadian comic.
Yeah,
Again.
yeah.
I mean, they're
I think it's funny there is a
They're
no-fly
usually
list. It's
good
just there's
people in
not a
general. I
no
divorced one,
bus
but they're good
list.
people in general.
There is nothing you can do to be banned from
But as far as
Greyhound.
comedians go, they're
Nothing at
good.
all.
We'll move on from
Okay,
that.
moving on.
Somebody ends up with a
Next
no-fly
comic
list.
is-
Greyhound's like, oh, another
we
customer.
got Eddie Izzard.
Wheels them down.
Eddie Izzard. I have
Like,
not
what'd
watched
you get
Izzard.
kicked off that plane
You never
for?
watched
Bringing a
it?
knife? What do
Oh,
you get
really?
sharpen them in
No,
here?
I'm
We
interested
don't
to
care.
see
back in the day. It's
I'm
been
sure
a
it's
long
brilliant.
time.
Yeah.
I think.
We'll
wait,
give
did
you
he,
one.
like,
Enjoy your trip to
transition?
DC.
Or he's always
Try
done.
not
but-
to
in
stab
drag
anybody.
An executive transvestite.
Oh, okay.
He's a guy that dresses like a girl who likes women. That's how he's like.
Is he considered? He's a straight guy?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Or
I didn't know that.
that's how I identify.
I thought it was.
This is like in the 80s, 90s, where it's like
Like you were a.
Amazing. It's so hard to believe that he's not gay.
That's what he says. You know, I don't know what he is.
I'm assuming that
I
if
would-
he's
I would
honest
think the
enough to
same
dress
thing.
up like that, like what's the risk of just saying you're gay? What, are you going to lose your audience? He's dressed like a woman.
I would think the same thing if my dick jabbed my friend in his fucking cheek. But you know,
No, exactly. Exactly.
all right, let's.
It's
I've
so
been
true.
watching Eddie.
It's so true.
I was super young.
like I was,
Yeah.
it's just so smart but so stupid. Like the takes are so
Right.
simple on such like a high.
I haven't seen Izzard. Yeah. Yeah. No, he's a real smart English dude, right?
Built up empires. We stole countries. That's what you do. That's how you build an empire. We stole countries with the cunning use of flags. Yeah. You just sail around the world and stick a flag in. I claim India for Britain. And they go, you can't claim us. We live here. 500 million of us. Do you have a flag? We don't need a bloody flag. It's our country, you bastard. No flag, no country. You can't have one. That's the rules that I've just made up. And I'm backing it up with this gun that was lent from the National Rifle Association. That was it, you know. And Queen Victoria became Empress of India. She never even fucking went there, you know? She was one of our more frumpy queens. They're all frumpy, aren't they? Because it's a bad idea when cousins marry. Bottom of the gene pool, you know, you're just scraping the barrel there. Haven't got enough for any more you royals there, sorry. First rule of genetics, spread the genes apart, you know. But the royals are just obsessed with, are you a royal family, are you a royal member? Well, then you can marry me because you're the same gene pool and our IQs will go down the toilet. Fantastic. That's why there's no, you know, crazy royals. They're all kind of, hello, hello, what do you do? You're a plumber. What on earth is that?
All right.
That's the gist of the bit.
Eddie Izzard.
Yeah.
I remember when I first started, he was doing shows in New York and like,
Yeah.
I mean, people were abuzz
Right,
about
yeah.
him, and he was big at like JFL, right?
Right,
And, like,
yeah.
oh, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Kinda like
Funny
a
when
Bowie.
I'm watching him. Yeah.
Comedy.
But when I'm watching, like, I mean, obviously he's funny. The jokes are smart. They're not like super laughy, but they're a little smarty. So you're doing the thing that's kind of intellectual as opposed to just laughing.
Sure.
But why the makeup? You know what I mean? It's almost like adding something that, for me, is it part of the act?
He was a street performer for years, and then
Yeah.
when the first time he ever did stand up is when he said
Yeah.
who he was. Like, right.
I just
At the bottom of
expected-
better, I'm going to stop hiding the thing I do in my private life when no one's looking.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, yeah. I just
This is,
thought like
he was doing this way before it was like
because the
not to
jokes
say it was
totally stand
trendy.
up on their own. Like,
Yeah,
like if your
yeah.
jokes were about being a cross-dresser, it makes sense to look like a
Sure,
cross-dresser.
yeah.
That would have worked if he were just wearing a suit with no makeup.
I kind of like that's why I've always really enjoyed
Oh, yeah, I
it.
like
It's
it.
very much like
Smart.
He would talk about it, but then he would just funny stories with really great like
Oh, yeah.
act outs and facial.
But now that's your
expressions.
fucking barista. I mean, any
Oh, yeah,
coffee
no,
shop,
everybody,
you
yeah,
get,
it's not
you know,
everybody,
every so
yeah. No, we've blown originality by way of look. You know, everybody can look anyway.
yeah, it's all identity, and you know, the one thing
Those speaking of like looking a certain way, it's funny. The rules used to be so much more strict, and especially at the Comedy Cellar when we first started, when it was Norton and Attell and Quinn. Like, if you walk in with the wrong clothing, Jordan Rubin had a story about how he once showed up with like a cool cap that he thought was cool, and at the end of the night he was leaving the cellar, and Attell said, "Hey kid, here's a quarter. Go get me a paper." He never wore a hat again.
Oh, dude, you ever want to take a risk? Fashion-wise,
Yeah.
Don't do it at the comedy club. I
no,
wore
no.
a fucking hat. I got like this,
But not
cool...
anymore. Now you can dress however you want.
I went to
really?
the comedy
Still?
store recently, and I had
great.
like a John Lennon cap. And, you know, you're in the hallway waiting to go up.
Oh, yeah.
Fucking ping, 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 ping. Everybody coming through.
great.
I fucking threw it out.
Yeah, that's the way
threw
it
it out
should be.
at the bar.
That's the way it should be in life.
Fucking brutal.
How many bad fashion decisions ended in trash cans at comedy
yeah.
clubs in the bathroom?
Oh,
Just
yeah.
plunge a bowler hat.
Patrice, if you walk in front of Patrice O'Neill with some weird shit and you weren't confident in what you were wearing, he would have at it for 40 minutes, him and Norton.
They make you cry.
Yeah, they could make you cry, which was so beautiful. You just learn, you learn to not, it's real important in comedy to learn to not be sensitive about those things. you know?
Not take it too seriously. Well,
Yeah.
at the end of our episodes, we watch, we discuss, and sometimes we're objective, but we also, we're on the hook. So one of us is going to be played. I don't know what clip this is going to be.
Yeah.
So it's going to be one of the three of us.
Yeah.
Well, not to break the walls, but I've been picking the clips.
Yeah.
I've always been picking. I've kept us out of it.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's my time.
Here we go.
Let's do it.
And ignore the
Great. Let's do it.
text,
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
words over it.
All right.
Oh, I like being able to read the words.
Doc has a real deep Southern accent, which is cool, but it's too deep for a doctor's office. Does that make sense? This is what he said last time I went just for a checkup not too long ago. He ran some tests and he comes back. He goes, "Hey, Mike, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, dog." He called me dog, which already felt inappropriate. "I hate to be the bearer of bad news, dog, but your test results came back and you tested positive for HPV. Which disease are you mispronouncing? Which... So I'm pretty sure you said HPV. You having a hard time with your P's or your I's? Which one of those can't you say? Because, Doc, those are two very different diseases.
Very different.
One of those is kind of scary. And the other one I knew about.
There we go.
That's smart.
Hey.
That's a smart,
That's a
funny
great-
joke.
that's a
It's
great
good joke. Yeah.
I was trying. I wanted to put myself more on the hook, and
I found a clip from like 10 years ago.
That's a great joke, though.
That's a good joke.
Legit
Yeah,
great joke.
man,
That's a
that
joke
is.
I think you see on. That's a late night talk show joke.
It's a
HPV.
little edgy, but yeah.
Little edgy.
I mean, for the Tonight Show, but yeah.
Late Late Show.
Yeah, sure.
Like
yeah,
on Reporting
absolutely.
or
No, it's a
something, but
good
you don't see it on
joke.
Tonight Show, but yeah,
Yeah.
that's a
Yeah.
well-crafted, good joke, and it's.
Yeah.
Eventually,
I've never heard
we'll
that
have
before.
some really early stuff that I find very disgusting.
Yeah.
Cringy crowd
Oh,
work
man.
stuff.
Oh.
I wanted to put that on there because I've been busting balls with some of the guests with some really old clips.
Oh,
I feel obligated. It's,
I feel nauseous watching some of the old shit I did. Just nauseous. Yeah.
Oh, same. I think you're always embarrassed. That's why, like, when I see these young kids putting up, like, I'm filming my hour, it's like you've been doing it for 4 years.
Yeah, it's weird.
Do not put that up.
But now you can put anything up, and so you can't. Yeah, that's the upside is you can put anything you want up, and the downside is that you can put anything you want up at any time.
Exactly. Yeah. Jesus Christ. Well, Dov Davidoff, I can't
buddy.
thank you enough for your time.
Always good to
You're
see
one of
you,
my
Stevie.
favorites. I
Thank
can't
you,
wait
you
to
too.
watch you tonight at the Cellar.
Yeah, I haven't seen this before.
Yeah,
Or
you
heard
know,
it before. That's very cool.
There's a ton of I love special effects in movies and stuntman, and then you get the writer round tables and stuff, and they discuss scenes and stuff.
Right.
I never saw. I've heard stand-ups talk about it, but I've never seen stand-ups watching it and breaking it down like that.
I have never seen this. You break it down up front like a conversational podcast, and then you actually go into watching and critiquing. I think it's an excellent idea.
Well, thank you. That's
It's
high
so
praise comes
unique
from
to
Dov
deliver
Davidoff.
anything,
Yeah.
anything in the world of podcasting that feels remotely unique. That's great.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Well, thank you, my friend. And we got to thank our sponsor. Car repossession is on the rise. Did you know you also have every right to stop a repo guy from taking your car? Consumers have broad rights to stop a car repossession from happening. And that is where the law firm at Sue the Collector can help you. If your car car is about to be repossessed or your car was repossessed, you verbally told them stop, leave your car alone, or physically hurt or injured by the repo agent, or they took the wrong car altogether, you may have a case. The attorneys who sue the collector specialize in wrongful car repossession and can help you or your loved one if you or your loved one were injured, lost valuables, or wrongfully had your car repossessed. Call us now, 1-877-BAD-REPO. That's 1-877-BAD-REPO. Again, 1-877-BAD-REPO. Keep up with Dov Davidoff on his socials. I know he's
at Dov Davidoff. That's all. Once in a while, I'll go on there.
But he's touring. I see his poster every time I go to a club. I see you're going to be there in a month or two, and you will not be let down. And I guarantee you'll have something to think about on the way home. That's
there you go.
Sure.
There you go. Good enough for me.
There we go. Comedy Piñata again. We'll see you guys next week. Thank you again so much from New York City, and thank you, Mike.